Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ask Dr. Be Good show. And again, I always seem to fall in love with our topics, our weekly topics. This one I have particular interest in because it involves our kids' safety. We have had another podcast on internet safety, technology safety, social media safety. We're going to coin that all under the term technology use safety. And we're going to continue bringing you this on a regular basis because what I've been noticing is that the information, the research coming from the universities around children and devices is changing. And so we want to keep our parents abreast of the latest information on how to keep their kids safe from while using the devices. And so please be ready for updating your information that we bring you on how to keep your kids safe around the use of technology. So to do that today, we have Ms. Stacy Weaver. Stacy, I want you to talk a little bit about your background and what makes you really more ready than most any other school personnel to talk about this technology and safety use.
So in addition to the hundreds or probably thousands of hours I have in training from being a law enforcement officer previously before entering into education, I regularly and constantly attend all updates on school safety and security, certified in anything from active shooter training to train the trainer in that area, parent reunification and with students. I'm always attending any type of training when it pertains to school safety, security, and that includes technology. People think of safety and security training only in active shooter scenarios and things like that, but really we have to protect our children from the internet as well.
So, and you're actually going to a couple of special trainings this summer?
Yeah, so this summer I'll be going to cybersecurity training so I can be certified in cybersecurity, so I can we've already really secured our computer systems, and we have filters, and we continuously monitor student use at all times. But our students are amazing with technology,
yes, they are.
And technology changes very quickly. So I continue to attend trainings yearly with all the updates and all of the new technology and resources that are available so that I can keep this school, not only the safety of the actual buildings, but our computers safe.
So your actual title is Global Systems Director, right?
Correct.
And so really that's a huge umbrella.
It is.
To cover a lot having to do with technology.
Yes.
I mean, that one word just covers so many different areas. So let's get started.
Sure.
We're going to discuss today the issues that evolve from increased screen time, because increased screen time with our kids is leading to obesity, type 2 diabetes, increased heart rate from the violence in the video games, and there's other concerns as well. So to start us off, we have a video from the Mayo Clinic that we're going to show and discuss.
Screens are everywhere, but how much screen time is too much for kids? Well, it depends on a child's age.
So the recommendations are really to minimize screen time in children before age 2. Between ages 2 and 5, we would recommend you keep the screen time 1 hour or less per day. And in children that are older than 5, we recommend trying to minimize recreational or enjoyment-related screen time to 2 hours or less per day.
Dr. Angela Matke says 2 hours or less a day applies to teens as well, but the recommendations do not include educational-related screen time.
I would use the screen time as a reward. Try not to use it as a punishment.
Dr. Matke says in limited amounts, the social aspect of screens can help teens feel connected. Too much screen time may interfere with sleep, increase the risk of depression, and increase the risk of obesity. Dr. Matke says the best way to help kids manage screen time is to be aware and communicate with them. For the Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Vivian Williams.
They packed in a lot of information in that 1 minute. So this is what I heard, and fill in anything that I left out. I heard that before the age of 2, really limit it. And that's going to be hard for some parents. They're really using it as a babysitter right now. After the age of 2, between 2 and 5, 1 hour or less. after the age of 5, 2 hours or less. Don't use it as a punishment. And then too much screen time can lead to obesity, depression, and
Other social emotional issues as well. And in addition to that, we have to remember that screen time for academics is not what they're talking about as a negative focus. It's this is in addition to that, because we don't want to take away the tremendous growth and opportunities that are there for students in an academic setting.
And you're right, because we are seeing with some of our math and reading softwares that the creators of these softwares have really made fun for our kids. I think I've mentioned in other podcasts that I've actually had kids step out of classrooms and thank me for.
Because, yeah, they're game-based, and the kids don't even realize that while they're playing these games, the tremendous learning opportunities that are inserted.
Right. And so
Absolutely.
we certainly want to make sure that that keeps going on in the schools, although I'm going to be keeping my eye on how much screen time we should be having for, K-5. We may have to make sure that teachers aren't using it as a babysitter.
Absolutely, because, you walk around everywhere, you see kids in carriages with tablets, and parents probably have no idea that they're actually creating health risks for their children, whether it's vision or health. I think in some of the things I've read, basically they were saying that children don't even get any vitamin D, which they're now deficient in because they don't go outside, they don't play outside, everything's indoors.
A lot of parents don't know that vitamin D is created in our bodies by sunlight.
Exactly.
And so with our kids spending less and less time outside, and again, the parents are doing that for safety reasons. They think that outside is not as safe as inside, but in fact, not only is it depriving them of vitamin use, but also they're using a different type of unsafety monster in the home, which are the devices.
And I think parents have to lead by example. If parents use technology, less time on Facebook and Instagram in front of their children, and they go outside with the children and they create these play opportunities and this time outside, they're setting a great example. And if that's what a child sees from a young age, that's going to be a norm.
So let's talk a little bit about this exercise and, the video games and health chart that you brought from Dr. Arlette Perry, PhD, from the Exercise and Sports Science Department of the University of Miami. Can you talk a little bit about what they're finding there at the university?
Sure. So what they're finding is parents don't even realize when their children play video games, especially games with violence or like Grand Theft Auto and those type of games, their heart rate goes up, which is not healthy for their heart. If a heart's racing all from playing video games and they play hours and hours of these video games, are taxing the heart. Systolic pressure, diastolic pressure. In fact, in her study, she said the heart rate goes up about 18% higher than it should when children are playing video games, and the systolic pressure goes up 22%. Diastolic is only 5%. But the worst part is respiratory rate and the energy expenditures are both in the high 50%, which all of that is very taxing on a heart.
Now, when we exercise and do cardio, we have these increases. How is this different? Do you know?
So from what I read in here, these are all done at a sedentary. When you're at a sedentary position, it's not healthy to be sitting and your heart's racing. When your body does exercise, it becomes accustomed to the exercise and the movement, and you also, in most exercise, bring yourself down at a specific pace. You don't bring your heart rate all the way up and then walk away. So there's ways to bring the heart rate down. You have a cool-off period. None of that goes on. These are extreme stops, and that's also bad for the heart.
So we have the fact that we have kids who are spending too much time inside. We have kids who are spending time on devices that impact the eyes, and we really haven't talked about that research, but it's causing eye damage.
Correct.
Brain, we talked with the lady from the Brain Development Center about the impact on the brain.
Correct.
And so now here's the impact on the heart.
Right. So what we're basically finding out is if we don't monitor our children's usage, we're setting them up to be setting them up to have medical problems at an early onset. And, those things, people don't think about it when their children are on video games, that all of these things, there's so many encompassing things that are going on at the same time that will affect them later on.
That's why we're here.
We're here to educate.
Yep. So what can parents do to limit screen time for their kids? Let's pop into the next video so that we can give our parents some strategies.
When you hear the word screen time, what do you think of? Screen time used to be about televisions, and then it was about televisions and computers. Now screen time is also about smartphones or about tablets. There are so many different ways that young children can have screen time today that experts are worried that our kids may be having too much entertainment screen time. In fact, in late 2013, the American Academy of Pediatrics revised the recommendations to say that kids under age 2 should have no hours of entertainment screen time each day, and kids 2 years and older can have up to 2 hours of entertainment screen time each day. How many hours of entertainment screen time do your young children or grandchildren have? No hours? 1 hour a day? 2 hours a day? 3 or more hours a day? We wanted to find out. So in our latest national poll on children's health, we asked parents of children 1 to 5 years old across the United States how much entertainment screen time their kids have, what they think is reasonable, and what limits they've put in place in their households to keep control of the entertainment screen time their kids have on a daily basis. The largest group of parents, 53%, said that they have some sort of limit on location of where kids can have entertainment screen time at home. A much smaller group of parents, only 6%, said that they have just limits on the time that kids can spend for entertainment screen time each day. About 1/4 of parents, 28%, said that they have some combination of limits on location and time. And a small group, 13%, say that they have no limits on screen time either by location or by the amount of screen time each day for their kids. When the amount of entertainment screen time on a daily basis is going up to 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, or more, that entertainment screen time ends up crowding out other important parts of growing up in healthy ways. For example, reading books together, drawing pictures, going for walks, spending time with other family members. All of those are valuable parts of building relationships and learning that can get crowded out if there's too much entertainment screen time. What's remarkable about these findings from the National Poll on Children's Health is that we're starting to understand for the first time the ways in which parents are responding to information or recommendations that they may be getting from the American Academy of Pediatrics. It looks like parents are more likely to use location limits as a common approach to helping contain entertainment screen time for their kids. That makes sense. It's much easier to say to your kid, no screen time at the table, or let's not have a television in our kid's bedroom, than it is to perhaps watch the clock and make sure that the screen time hasn't come to a certain amount each day. That said, we still found that 1/4 of all parents of these young kids are having entertainment screen time amounts that are far greater than what the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends on a daily basis. Going forward, we're going to need to encourage those parents to try some of these other strategies that other parents are using, and also focus on the content of these hours of screen time and not just the quantity.
So, okay, that we have now revised the more up-to-date time for kids that are 2 years or older is now 1 hour. You notice what's happening, right? The trend is to go down. Matter of fact, I think I've mentioned in other podcasts that in Silicon Valley, those parents have actually taken away the devices. There is no screen time in the home anymore.
And in the schools as well.
So, and that's going to probably become a national trend because the Silicon Valley, which is where all this sort of came from, it has more up-to-date research, and I think we will find that that's going to spread across the country in the next year or two. So, what did we hear? We heard that we have parents who find that it's easier to limit location, to force location, as opposed to letting kids use their device wherever they want, because they'll tend to hide in the bedroom with it. And when they hide in the bedroom, you don't know what they're looking at. So, but the other important thing that I heard him say was when parents don't limit device time, it crowds out other important family times. It got me thinking, okay, it's Tuesday. They've come home from school. Today was tutoring at Legacy. So they've come home about between 4:30 and 5. They go home, they get on their device, and then dinner time. Dinner time's about 6-ish, right? If they're allowed to use their phone during dinner, that's a second hour there. And that leads to about 7 o'clock. They're still on their device. Hopefully they did stop for homework. But now 3 or 4 hours is what we're hearing they're doing. That's 8 or 9 o'clock. It's bedtime. Where's the family chat time? Where's the what did you do in school time? Where's the let me look at your homework? Where's the play outside after dinner? Let's take a walk after dinner. The weather's turning now back to being very decent. So that's a problem.
In addition, in a lot of the networking that I do, when we talk about hiring practices, so many of the big businesses have explained to us, because of the way technology has taken over, that kids work do everything so independently because they do it all on the computer, that they don't know how to collaborate at work. And they're having difficulties finding employees that can actually collaborate and work with others because they've been, for so many years, through high school and college, been a one-man show on the computers and with technology. So it affects the family, it affects the job market, social skills. There's so many things that we're now finding out. I mean, we realized that it would and did affect it, but I don't think at this caliber. So now we really need to turn our focus on to figure out what do we do with kids, because now we have to retrain them. It's basically retraining their activities and their exercises.
One of the things we're doing at Legacy to sort of balance the technology is to have the PBL, the project-based learning, where they have to work in groups and they're actually given grades in the upper grades. I believe starting in 6th grade, they not only get the content grade, but they get a grade for their participation, communication, oral and written communication skills, work efficacy. So we are trying to do both, to teach good social media etiquette, to have kids do research online correctly, but also to work well with others in a group setting where they have jobs to do, they have norms to follow and so forth. So we are trying to balance that, but not all schools do that. So let's talk about some of the things that parents can do and some of the links that we have for them that we're going to post in our Facebook post so that you don't have to think it all up yourself. We're really trying to make this easy for parents, because we're not only saying to you limit device time, just do it. We're really not, because we know that's hard. What we're going to do is give you a list of websites to go look at how you can do this effectively and less painfully.
Absolutely, and we'll get those put up, later this evening. And I think parents have to just think about how they were raised, go back to those old school values, because that's what we're missing. I know myself, my kids were in sports all the time. My parents always said if they're in sports and off the street, they can't get in trouble. The same thing holds true. We need, athletics are available for students. There's so many different things that they could be doing with them outside. Go to a park, take them for a walk. If you have a dog, let them go outside with the dog. Just start creating those different events. I think when we were discussing it, we were saying even make a list of good deeds they can do, and each day they have to do a good deed.
Right. There's some links here that say a month of personal acts of kindness for young kids, walking the walk, modeling good screen use, 45 simple screen-free activities for babies to encourage their natural development, 1 million screen-free activities for kids, screen-free road trips, family card games. Remember those?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now everybody just watches movie after movie after
all you
movie.
see. You can actually pass by the cars and see everybody has a movie if they have a child.
That's right. Screen-free road tripping, the ultimate guide for keeping kids happy in the car. Let's see. A waiting place bag, a simple screen-free alternative for bonding with kids while waiting. And that, that's
a big one.
That's a big one, because what are we doing when we're waiting in lines for the restaurant, for the grocery store? We hand them the phone. That's right.
We do.
Stop tantrums, soothe nightmares, and promote mindfulness with one simple screen-free tool, a calming card. So we are going to post strategies for you to tap into so that we're not just saying stop it, we're actually saying replace it.
Exactly.
Okay, replace it. And then you also found something called Spoiled. Do you want to talk a little bit about Spoiled?
Sure. So you can still spoil your kids and have fun with them with screen-free activities, and there's so many different activities that you can do with them. Basically, you can make time to make connections with your children. You can use the iPad to build relationships. You can use apps together. If you do things with them and they're constructive and they're educational, then they're not using technology in a negative way. So you can be a part of that. Basically, there's lots of.
So what's the way to remember Spoiled?
Spoiled is social, play, which means free play, outdoor, independent, and literacy. So long as we're incorporating those things on and off the screen, we're giving our children what they need, and we just have to monitor. You have to be a parent. The technology can't be the babysitter. We have to be parents, and that's something that I think a lot of the generations behind us have gotten into, where technology is a babysitter. And you got to be a responsible parent. You got to be present in your child's life. And there's so many things that you could be doing with them. I think that, like we discussed, a big fan of no zones, where technology can't be used at the table or it can't be used, in the bedroom and things like that. That's a start. I don't think any child or parent are going to go cold turkey, as they call it, because I think both are going to have residual effects from it. But you have to start somewhere.
Right, and we'll actually give you a little bit of ideas on that as well. Just another reminder about diabetes and obesity. They've never been higher. This generation is slated to not live as long as their parents, which is the first time that's happened ever. And a lot of it has to do with not only the use of technology, but also it's in combination with the American diet. And so we've talked about that as well, that the American diet, the processed foods, the sugar increase in our food has led to our kids our kids having a much higher chance to have type 2 diabetes. Matter of fact, I read a stat that in the 1980s, no kids had type 2 diabetes. Now we have over 50,000 kids with diabetes, type 2. Now, that's different than type 1. Type 1 you get as a child, and that's more genetic. But the type 2 is, unfortunately, a lot of times due to diet and lack of exercise and so forth. So we really need to get a handle on this so that we can help our kids live long and productive, healthy lives.
I think the biggest problem that's going to present in everything, I think parents will agree with what we're presenting and they'll want to do it, is actually
the how.
The detox, as we call it, the detox from technology.
So we have a little video on detox. So let's go ahead and run the video on detox so that we can have a challenge to our parents to move towards detoxing from their digital lives.
In this world where there's so much stuff online and we're so connected to these digital devices, how do you deal with digital detox yourself?
I think one of the biggest things for me in a digital detox is just like a diet detox. The first step is awareness. So if you want to lose weight, gain muscle, lose muscle, whatever it is, you would have to look at what do you put into your body.
Yeah.
And I always say to people that health isn't just what you eat, it's also what you think. And so the first step is in awareness. So what I ask people to do is build a digital diet sheet. Okay. I actually ask people to sense their awareness and actually journal their awareness of how much they're on their phone and how often.
Okay.
Because when you see that awareness will already do half the work.
Right.
As soon as you start seeing, I spent 2 hours a day on Instagram.
Right.
I spent an hour on Facebook. I spent an hour on Netflix, whatever it was. And I'm not judging you, and I don't want you to judge yourself. What I want you to do is build a genuine diet sheet for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Right?
And there's actually on your phone, for like the iPhone, you look at the battery part and then it actually tells you the actual to the minute.
Exactly.
And percentage you're spending, how much, like 20 hours of that week on Instagram or something like that.
Absolutely. So the first step is awareness. That's all I want you to do, is take out some time to just journal down your usage. Okay. Now, if you're saying to me and you're listening to this going, Jay, I already know I spend too much time on social media, then you can go straight to the second one. The second one is build no technology zones in your home.
Okay.
No technology times and no technology zones in your home. Set rules, parameters, and barriers. So I always say to people that I don't like using my phone in the kitchen or the bedroom because it's more fun to eat and sleep with people.
Right.
So remove technology from places where you can really build up beautiful human bonds with people.
Okay.
And usually it's the kitchen in our homes and the bedroom, whether we watch the TV in our bedroom or whatever we do, let's do that with people. And whatever we do in our kitchens, eating, cooking, these activities which are great for human interaction and bond building, let's do that with people.
And also that's the place, but and also the time also?
Yes, and the time, and set no technology times in your home.
Okay.
So my example being, and I genuinely did this for years when I was practicing this, I locked my phone in my car outdoors.
Okay.
So that it would not be the first thing I looked at in the morning.
That's beautiful.
And I replaced it with a real alarm clock. And that's what woke me up in the morning if I needed an alarm. I've trained myself to not need an alarm to wake up, but if you wake up to an alarm, switch it to a real alarm clock.
Beautiful.
Keep your phone in another room. Do not wake up to your phone.
Okay.
Right? That can save you so much time and hassle.
That sounds
And
amazing.
the third step to doing a digital detox is don't to and fro and pendulum between lots of technology and no technology. Build a diet and slowly remove parts of it. So don't start saying, okay, for the next 7 days, I'm not going to use my phone at all. Because all that's going to happen is when you reduce that consumption, you're going to come straight back and want to do it. I always joke about how when I lived as a monk, I didn't eat any sugar for 3 years. Like none at all. And the day I left, the first thing I did was buy myself tons of chocolate and eat all of it. When you starve yourself of anything, your mind wants to go to the other extreme. It's very often a trick of the mind. So one of the things I recommend is once you build your digital diet sheet, set out your parameters in your home and your boundaries, see yourself removing step by step. So don't try and remove Instagram and Facebook and Netflix all at the same time.
Right.
Move one at a time. Make your change a big priority and a small step. Don't try change everything at the same time. So people try and change all their digital habits all at the same time.
Right.
Just do one every week for a month.
Because little things done consistently add up to big things.
Totally. Most of us try and change 4 things in 1 week.
Right.
When all you have to do is change one thing 1 week for 4 weeks in a row.
So, okay, parents, I'm going to challenge you to take Jay's advice and to make change a big priority using small steps. So, I'm going to leave you all with a question. How will you do that? How will you make a big digital change in your home with yourself and your children? And what small steps will you take to do that? We've come towards the end of our podcast today, but it won't be the end of this discussion. We have got to continue making sure that you all have the latest information about the impact that the digital world will have and does have on your children, and at the same time bringing you strategies on how to cope with that, not only with yourself, because many of you have the habit as well, but with making sure your children take part in the digital diet, the digital detox. Thank you very much, Ms. Weaver. Continue your research, please. This is a fascinating topic, and we thank you for bringing it to us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ask Dr. Be Good show. For more information on Legacy Preparatory Charter Schools, visit our website, legacypca.com, or call 469-249-1099. And remember to like us on Facebook, where we stream live weekly Tuesdays at 3 p.m.